Everybody doing? Guess what? We're back. Cutting Edge is back at you. Today what we're going to talk about is we're fixing to talk about the entire Eastern Conference. That's right. We're about to dissect the top 8 teams in the Eastern Conference, line by line, and who their competitors are going to be if the playoffs started today, March 12, 2018. Cutting Edge is back.
Kyrie sends it for three. Kyrie Irving!
Good evening. How's everybody doing? This is the Cutting Edge, brought to you in part by yours truly. Let's get into it. What we said we was going to talk about was we were going to actually talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Eastern Conference has notoriously been one of those conferences where you could be mediocre. You can be a mediocre team for that year, and you can just walk your way into the playoffs. It's a little bit tougher than the Western Conference. The Western Conference, we're going to get into that next week, but right now the Western Conference, basically spots 4 through 8 up for grabs. You're looking at spots 4 through 8 with Oklahoma City. You're looking at the Utah Jazz. You're looking at the Denver Nuggets. You're looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves. All of those teams have about 38, 39, 40 wins. So it's jammed up. But with the Western Conference, with the Eastern Conference, you don't necessarily have that. Let's get into it. We're gonna start from the top. Let's start from the top. The number 1 seed in the playoffs, if the playoffs started today in the Eastern Conference, are the Toronto Raptors. The number 8 seed, the Milwaukee Bucks. A surprise team, but not a surprise team. They are where they should be. We just didn't expect them to be here, if that makes any sense. We're going to start dissecting that series. It's going to be a fun series, more than a lot of people would probably think. With the Greek Freak, you have Tony Snell, you have Eric Bledsoe, just a couple people from Milwaukee who can get the job done. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They can get the job done, but they do not have that playoff savvy, that experience that I think it's going to take. You're going to need that. You have Jabari Parker. You have Michael Brogdon, who was the NBA Rookie of the Year last year. They're going to need that. That's why I have Toronto with Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan. Is it anything else you can't say about this guy, DeMar DeRozan? With his ability to take over a game in the second half and in the fourth quarter, I don't see them losing this series. I see the series going 6 games. I see the series going 6 games just briefly because you have a young Milwaukee Bucks team who is hungry. Toronto may be a little bit complacent because when the year opened up, they already knew they were in the playoffs. They knew with their roster, with their depth, with just their whole makeup on their team, that they were in the playoffs. Milwaukee didn't know that. So you're going to have a team who's riding off emotion. You're going to have a team who's riding off of that underdog mentality. When you have an underdog mentality, shots are going to start falling that don't normally fall. Because you have that confidence in yourself, because you would not normally take those shots. But hey, we're not even supposed to be here anyway. Why not? Those shots are going to start falling, which is going to make it an interesting series, which is going to put it at, I say, 6 games. Now, this 4-5 slot, which is a very, very interesting slot, but because before last night, the number 3 slot belonged to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to touch on them just a bit. I'm getting there. The number 3 slot belonged to Cleveland. Indiana Pacers, number 4 slot. The Cavs lost last night 113-127 to the Los Angeles Lakers, repping the Lakers. They lost to the Los Angeles Lakers last night, which dropped them to the number 4 seed. So the number 4 right now, if they started right now, we have Cleveland versus Washington. I don't think this was a bad decision. I really don't think this was a bad decision. Well, not decision, but I don't think this is necessarily bad. Oh, Cleveland lost the game. It's time to panic. You don't need to go in panic mode right now. You did the right thing. If you're Cleveland, you didn't lose on purpose, but it's not a bad thing to have lost. It's just not. It's not a bad thing to have lost for the simple fact that I would rather face Washington than face Philly. Let's break down the series. Very interesting. So we're going to get into it. The 4th seed, Cleveland Cavaliers. The 5th seed, Washington Wizards. Keep in mind, after the 4th and 5th seed, the winner of that goes on to play the Raptors. Well, how I have it broken down, they go on to play the winner of the 1-8 series. The Wizards, it's Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what Wizards team you're going to get, which is probably good. This could actually have the ingredients to be a very, very entertaining series, because when you got the Cavs, you don't know what you're getting either. You can have this team that got blown out by 20 points to the Lakers, or you can have this team that played almost flawless the day after the trade. You don't know who you're going to get, but I can guarantee you one thing. The X factor in this whole series will be John Wall. My problem with that is, how is Washington going to respond? Because they're actually, statistically and analytically, they're playing better without John Wall than they did with him. They're a better basketball team without him. They have star power with him. They have a guy who can take over the game in the 4th quarter, but they are a better basketball team without him, which is, it's going to be looked at. That's going to be very, very, very critically examined when it comes, free agency, trade deadlines of next year, things of that magnitude. Maybe this guy is expendable. Maybe we can let go of our franchise player, so we thought, bring somebody else in and just pick up where we left off at. And then on the other end of the token, you have the Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James. That's what it's going to be broken down to. I don't care who you put in front of LeBron James. There's no way that LeBron James is getting bounced in the first round. That's just not happening. It's not. I can go into X, Y, Z, why they got a better bench, or they need to play inside, or they need to run transition, or they need to set more script. I could dissect the game of basketball with X's and O's all day. It makes no sense to do so when you have LeBron James. LeBron James. That's the reason they're going to win this series. That's the reason they're going to win this series in 5 games, because you have LeBron James. Next series. We're going to shift to the next series, which is the bottom half of the bracket. Number 2 seed, the Boston Celtics. I'm going to stop right there. You remember Kyrie won't win without LeBron? Kyrie's not going to a better team. What is Kyrie thinking? What is he doing? I just went over the seeds 4 and 5, and I had the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 4th seed. Now I'm talking about the Boston Celtics, and I got Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics sitting at the number 2 seed. You want to go win without Brian? What is he doing? He's being a leader. He's facilitating. He's scoring. He's picking when to take over, when to hang back, when to get others involved, when to be the catalyst that they brought you over here to be. If you bring Gordon Hayward back in this series, it's a sweep, 4-0. It's a sweep. Gordon Hayward probably won't be back for the rest of the season. He's telling himself he'll make it back for the playoffs. I wouldn't place Gordon Hayward back in the game maybe until if we make the 3rd round. 2nd round, 3rd round maybe. Well, 2nd round maybe, definitely 3rd. But 1st round, I wouldn't worry about Gordon Hayward. I wouldn't do it. I'm I'm not saying Miami doesn't have anything that they can actually play. They don't have any weapons. Dwayne Wade, since he came over to Miami, it's a resurgence. This is Flash. This is close to Dwayne Wade and Shaq winning the NBA championship. He's not quite there, of course, because of age, but he's showing flashes of that, i.e., the name Flash, I guess. But he's showing flashes of that, most definitely. Hassan Whiteside can battle with any big man in the game. Point blank. I don't care what you say. He can battle with any big man in the game. In the game. Hassan Whiteside versus Al Horford. Just because Hassan Whiteside is more physical, more in your face, more verbal, Hassan Whiteside is going to get the edge. But as a team and as a unit, sweep, man. Boston sweep. Second reason why Boston is going to sweep, because Boston has something to play for. Kyrie Irving has a name at stake in these playoffs. Yeah, he can win in 2019. Yeah, he can win it in 2020. Yeah, he could do it then. But everyone said that you made a dumb choice to leave as Robin to somebody's Batman to be your own Batman on a team. It's a dumb decision. You guaranteed the finals. First of all, I want to nip that myth in the bud quickly. Cleveland is not guaranteed anything. Nothing. Not the way that they've been playing. Not when you got Isaiah Thomas with a bad hip dropping 20. When you don't even have Kevin Love ready mentally or physically. When LeBron James has to exert so much energy on the offensive end till he getting demolished on the defensive end. Yeah, nobody want to talk about that, do they? LeBron James is getting demolished on the defensive end this season. Point blank, period. You can pull stats, you can pull analyticals, you can do whatever you want to do. I got the old-fashioned eye test, baby. I know the game of basketball. He's getting demolished on the defensive end. So Kyrie needs to win this. I'm not saying Kyrie needs to win a ring to be self-relevant. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Kyrie has to have an impact on these NBA playoffs. I think he has to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. He needs to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. We're going to shift to the next series. Once again, Boston sweep 4-0. This is going to be an interesting series. For one, that 4 and 5 slot that I was talking to you guys about, you can interchange. The 3 and the 4 are going to flip-flop all year. They're going to flip-flop all year because I don't see Cleveland being consistent, and I don't see Indiana because they are a young squad. I don't see them being consistent. But as of right now, like I said, this is March 12th. As of right now, we have Indiana and Philly. Indiana and Philly. Victor Oladipo. The post-Paul George era versus trust the process. That's going to be a tough one, man. This is going to be an exciting series. This series is going 7 games. This series is going 7 games. I think Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are going to be a little bit too much. Philly just 3 years ago probably only won 13 games. Trust the process. They're in the first round of the playoffs. Going to get past the first round. I really believe Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Covington, they're too much. They're too much. Yes, you have a lot of young gunners. And Victor Oladipo, by the way, for everybody who does not know this man and he is not a household name, Victor Oladipo is a stud. Point blank, period. He's a baller. The boy is a baller. Getting rid of Paul George, if you're wondering how did Indy still get this seed by not having Paul George, is it because of the trade? Indiana knew exactly what they were doing. Paul George, you're leaving anyway. If I would have let Paul George go to wherever he wanted to go and not get something in return for him, they would not even be in the playoffs. I want to commend the GM of the Indiana Pacers. I want to commend the coaching staff for pulling that trigger, not trying to convince Paul George to stay and letting the trade deadline just pass you by. I would like to commend them for, you are the reason why your team is scheduled to go to the playoffs. Point blank, man. Point blank. But post Paul George era, this is Victor Oladipo's team. Only problem I have is I've always had this problem. The only problem I have with all of that, the only issue I have with everything, with it being Victor's team, is he's a point guard. I've always had an issue with my point guard being my guy, being the guy that I need for a score, because I feel like the point guard is that position where I need to be a facilitator first, scorer second. So with Victor Oladipo, point guard is not his position. I want to get that frankly clear, because it's like these analysts and some of these sports broadcasters, they realistically feel like the point guard position is where Victor Oladipo strives, and that has never been the case. He's a two guard, point blank. He's a two guard. So I feel like that's going to be something that's going to be very interesting and to keep our eyes on. But when it comes to a prediction for this series, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are going to get past Miles Turner, who, let me double back. Amazing strides from last year. Amazing strides last year from the year before. The kid is getting better. The kid is getting better. He's turning into one of those Jay Crowder type players. You know, that intangible Amon Shumpert. That intangible that you need on your team, that is not a superstar, but he can fill the role and he can be successful in the role. And Andre Roberson from Oklahoma City is another one. But I got Philly in 7. So let me recap about how the second round of these Eastern Conference playoffs are going to go. You have Toronto, who are going to successfully take care of Milwaukee. Then you have Cleveland and Washington. Toronto and Cleveland are going to meet in the next round. Cleveland are going to beat Washington in 5. Boston is going to destroy Miami in 4. Boston is going to completely annihilate Miami in 4. Why? Kyrie got something to prove. Gordon Hayward may be back, but that's not why. And I don't think Al Horford is going to... I think Al Horford is going to have a coming out party, and we forgot about I'm so sorry. I completely forgot talking about the fabulous rookie, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, what more can you say? Miami has no chance. Sweep, next game. And then it's going to be Boston and Philly. And Boston is going to take care of Philly. So if they play their cards right, Boston has a clear path to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like I said, one thing to keep very, very, very near and dear to you is that 3 and that 4. They're going to flip-flop all year. Both of these teams, Indiana and Cleveland, are not consistent teams at this point. So they're going to continue to flip-flop all year long. Why is that important, Jermaine? Why is that important? Cutting edge, why is that important? This is the reason that's important. Boston is 2 going against 7. Who plays the winner of the 2 and 7? The 3 and 6. Follow me. If Cleveland gets that 3 and 6 and plays Philly, Cleveland is going to beat Philly, and then you don't have the Eastern Conference Finals. We getting in the second round down and dirty already. Kyrie, welcome back LeBron. And we're going to have a blockbuster series that's going 7 games. On the other hand, it can go like it is right now. Indiana can keep on to that number 3. Indiana can get that number 4 slot. Indiana can get that number 3 slot. We don't know. But that is the Eastern Conference breakdown. We're going to do the Western Conference breakdown, which is going to be a little bit more complex, which the video may be a little bit longer next week because you have firepower in the West. San Antonio, Minnesota, Golden State, Houston, Oklahoma City, Portland, Denver. You have fire in the Western Conference. So we're going to get back to that next week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Click subscribe. And you guys have a safe day. Lake Nation, baby. Lake Nation.